Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Muslims Uncensored with me, Robert Carter and Roshan Saleh. Now, we're in the last few nights of the blessed and holy month of Ramadan, and of course, there is a lot happening. A lot of Muslim organizations are now appealing to their supporters and to the Muslim community at large, asking for support. And Five Pillars as well is doing the same, but not without good reason. We're a grassroots organization. We rely on your support in order to continue doing the work that we do, and that of course is the case. We did a live stream on YouTube last night. How did that go, Roshan? Were you pleased?
Alhamdulillah. Look, I think the fact is that throughout the month, the Ummah has given and supported Five Pillars yet again. At our Iftar, during our lives, on social media, there's no doubt about it. Have we reached our fundraising targets? No. So, brothers and sisters, there's still time. The month is not over yet. By the time this show goes out, the Saudis may have called Eid. I'm not sure. It might be on Friday. But, you know, there is still time to give before the end of the month. We don't really do fundraising outside of Ramadan. So this is our time to ask for you to support the strategic cause for the Ummah to defend Islam and Muslims. So please continue doing so. If you've already given, please share our donation links with family and friends, people who you might think might give to our cause. So yeah, keep it coming, inshallah, until the end of Ramadan. Maybe none of us will see another Ramadan, so this might be your last opportunity to do so.
Absolutely. We've got a lot to discuss today. There's obviously war going on against Iran still. The region is exploding. We've also got a lot of far-right anger and venting over public displays of Islam here in the UK and elsewhere in the West. But just as a final point on this subject, Five Pillars is a crucial platform. It's probably the biggest, if not the biggest, British Muslim news organisation. It's one of the biggest proper Muslim Islamic news organisations in the English-speaking world, quite frankly. And I think you guys at home, we see your comments, we see the love and support that you guys give us. You know of the good quality work that we do, and we rely on more than just comments in order to keep us doing the work which you value so highly. We don't take state funding. You know, we're not, we don't have a big budget like Al Jazeera or some of these state-backed news channels have. We rely totally on support from the community. That's why we're independent. That's why we report the stories that you want us to report on, the ones that you won't see on any other news channel, routinely ignored by the mainstream. So please, brothers and sisters, do use this opportunity to support us in the most meaningful way possible, with prayers, but also financial contributions as well.
There's one more thing I'd like to say, Robert, and it was something that came up in the live stream from one of the viewers, and I think Dilly repeated it a few times. So if you haven't seen those live streams, we put the kind of people that are involved with Five Pillars into three categories. The doers. So the doers are basically us lot. It's Dilly, me, you, Haris, Jamal, Shahid behind the scenes, Alan, many other people, Kamal in Lebanon, our correspondents in India. They're the doers, okay? So we're actually doing the work. Then there are the helpers. And the helpers are those who give us financial contributions, who are our eyes and ears on the ground, feed us stories. They're the helpers. And then there are the watchers, the people who consume our content and enjoy our content, but don't do and don't help. So all I would say is don't be a watcher. Be a doer or be a helper. But don't fall into that third category of just being a watcher.
Oh, I hate watchers. You at home watching right now, I hate you. No, I'm joking.
Our viewing figure's going to go right down now. 90% of watchers.
I'm joking. But like I said, we know you guys like the work we do and appreciate it. Five Pillars is under attack. You know, all the enemies of Islam, the Hindutva, the far right, the Israel lobby, they hate us and they're coming after us, frankly. And without your support, how on earth are we going to keep combating those enemies?
In fact, the majority of our people that consume our channel are probably watchers. Okay, so I don't want to diss them all. And some of them generally, can't afford. We're all feeling the pinch, every single one of us. They can't afford to give necessarily, or they've given to other causes which I'm not going to start complaining about. But what you can do, if you're not going to actually give to Five Pillars, is that you can still spread our content around.
Yeah,
and you can
absolutely.
still spread
Yeah,
those
yeah.
donation links around with family
Yeah.
and friends and others you think might give. So don't just be a passive watcher. At least be a helper.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Don't make me put the content behind a paywall, because I'm going to do it. I will do it. Anyway, let's get on with the show. If you want to support Five Pillars, I'll leave a link to our donation page. You can sign up and become a regular contributor throughout the year, or you can give one-off solid lump sum payments. It's totally up to you, but there are options there. So the first topic is the war in Iran. Another senior figure in Tehran has been assassinated, Ali Laranjani. He was a big figure inside Iran.
I met him.
You met him. So
I met him personally.
Okay, so yeah, he's a big figure, right inside the inner circle. He was a close advisor to the now assassinated leader Ali Khamenei. I think he served was a parliamentary speaker
For 12 years.
Multiple positions,
Multiple roles, yeah.
A very big, prominent political family with senior revolutionary credentials. So a big player. In fact, a lot of people were saying that he might be the guy that the US would negotiate with after Khamenei's assassination. But now he's also been assassinated by Israel. So people are now questioning, maybe Israel took him out because he may have been a roadmap towards de-escalation.
Yeah.
And obviously Israel wants to keep this war going
Yes.
for their own reasons. But we're not quite sure. I mean, Trump, quite frankly, seems to be way out of his depth, seems to be, it's a snowball effect. He started something he can't stop. He's opened Pandora's box. And now the entire global economy, the situation for us all is looking very dire now. So, Roshan, what's your take on the situation? It's been like 2 weeks now, I think, of war.
A quick word on Ali Larijani. So I met him in Vienna when he was the chief nuclear negotiator. I was working for Press TV at the time. And I mean, I can't say I got to know him or anything, but I did interview him. And very professional, very intelligent, very polite. Obviously a regime insider, if you want to put it that way. And someone very close to the levers of power. Perhaps after Ayatollah Khamenei died, one of the most powerful people in Iran, no doubt about it. He was seen openly at the Quds protests, so he obviously wasn't hiding very well, a bit like Ayatollah Khamenei. I think, they weren't underground or anything like that. I personally think that, the Iranian government is not based on individuals, it's based on institutions. So they will be replaced, and they will probably be replaced by people more hardline than them. Because these are people with a lot of experience that have had an interaction with the outside world and probably are, people that the West can do business with at some point, in terms of not by compromising their principles, but just by de-escalating the whole situation. But if you're going to replace them with people with less exposure to the outside world, more radicalized by the war and deaths of family and friends and, important regime figures, then I think it's going to be harder to stop this war. So I would say, look, if you ask me who's winning and who's losing, so let's look at America, first of all. America are losing big time. Trump has clearly miscalculated, doesn't know what he's doing. He's been dragged into this by Israel. All those American soldiers are dying for Israel. All that blood and treasure that has been lost, they've died in vain for Israel. Americans need to basically arrest these people. Trump, Rubio, Hegseth, the Caroline Leavitt, the cheerleader, the press secretary, anybody involved in this administration that is fighting an American war for Israel, dragged into the war by Israel, just like the Americans were dragged into the Iraqi war 20 years ago by Israel, for Israel's strategic interests, not for American strategic interests. You have these core Zionist fanatics at the heart of the US regime, like Jared Kushner, okay, who believe in this fantastical end of times Jewish narrative and are doing this all for Israel. Iraq 20 years ago posed no strategic threat to America. Israel dragged the Americans into that war. Today, Iran poses no strategic threat to America, and America has been dragged into the war by Israel because Iran poses a threat to Israel, not America. So obviously the world economy is crashing. Iran is not in the mood for a ceasefire. They want to drag this out and drag everyone down with them if that's what's going to happen. So America is losing big time. Trump has no solutions. And I think this could be the end of him at some stage. Israel is happy. I have to say this, because they are degrading Iran's military capabilities, and they're using America to do that. So Israel wants to drag this war out as long as possible. Netanyahu gets to stay out of jail as well and stay in power. So I think Israel is happy just to continue the bombing and drag everyone down with them. And who knows? These are religious fanatics that are in control of Israel now. Maybe they want to bring America down as well with them at some stage, so they can take over the whole world. This is the way they think, and we have to. They don't think logically. They think in terms of Jewish end of time narratives, which is to bring on the apocalypse, so the Messiah can come, so the Al-Aqsa Mosque can be destroyed. That's the way they think. So Israel are happy. Iran, obviously, they're taking massive hits. They're taking hits to their leaders, hits to their infrastructure, hits to their military capabilities. However, they are fighting back in a way that I think the entire Muslim world finds very impressive, and also a lot of the non-Muslim world find impressive. For the first time, they're giving Israel, and America especially, a run for its money in a big way.
Big bloody
and
nose,
they're using their trump card, which is to close the Straits of Hormuz and to bring the Gulf nations down. And the Gulf nations are the ones that host U.S. military bases that prop up the Western economy. So if I had to score it, I would say America is losing, Israel is winning, and the Iranians, on the one hand, they're losing in terms of their military capabilities and their power is decreasing. On the other hand, they're fighting a hell of a fight.
I mean, Iran's kind of like, like you get a plant, even if you cut it back, it grows back again. It's like a vigorous growing plant. That's how I see Iran. So they're on the back foot right now, but they have what it takes to come back. It's a revolutionary state. They still believe in this ideology that, was,
as we've always said,
what the Iranian Revolution was all about in 1979. They still believe it passionately today. And make no mistake, these guys, from their point of view, they are fighting an all-out war, and they're prepared to go as far as they have to in order to defend themselves, because they know that Israel wants them to be like another Libya or something like that. Total annihilation of their people. And so they're going to fight. They're going to fight on their home territory. They're going to fight,
death, if
they're going to
necessary.
fight to the death if they have to. And they still have cards to play. I think this is what people need to realize. Iran can still expand the conflict. I think it can still target key energy infrastructure in countries like Saudi Arabia, which hasn't quite hit yet. They have kind of hit it, but not to the full extent. They can really shut things down. They haven't expanded into the Red Sea yet, which they can do via Yemen. So Iran is not out of options. And we keep hearing from Trump, I've annihilated their missile infrastructure. They're beaten. They've practically surrendered. But they're still hitting Israel, by the way. They're still hitting American assets. I mean, here's footage from last night. I mean, this is Israel. There were a couple of people killed in an Iranian missile strike on Tel Aviv. So Iran is giving them a bloody nose. They are fighting hard. They've got plenty of juice left, plenty of ammunition, and they are firing rockets all over the place. So Iran is far from being. This idea that Iran's on the ropes is totally ridiculous. And again, Iran is ready for ground conflict. Iran is strongest suited in a ground war. And America is clearly scared of going in.
I don't think the Iranians are too scared to attack,
so the Iranians
want that.
I mean, the Iranians, basically, one of their military guys was like, come on then, you want to fight? Come, bring your troops. Let's have it out on the ground. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. Bring your troops if you want. We're ready for a ground war. And that, again, would favor the Iranians, and the Israelis are not going to do that. They're going to want the Americans to do that. And I think even Trump knows if he does that, like you said, it's the end of him, because so many American lives are going to be lost. So, I think there needs to be serious pressure from the America First types to just defeat the Israel First types. That's the civil war.
That's what the battle is,
Yeah, I mean, Americans are always talking about the Civil War, right? How great it was and how they're heroes.
There needs to be another American Civil War.
I think so, a political civil war. I'm not calling for violence, but they need to what do you mean? De-weed. They need to pull out the weeds.
They need to de-Zionize the country.
They need to de-Zionize the country, pull the weeds out and fix it up. Because, I mean, obviously America's foreign policy has always been wacky and a bit evil. But, I mean, this is something else. This is something else.
Trump is a traitor to the United States. He's committed treason. And so Rubio, Hegseth, Jared Kushner, all these guys are traitors to the United States because they have put the interests of a foreign nation ahead of their own nation. The American people need to rise up against these people, and there needs to be a day of accounting for them. They need to be in prison, as simple as that. These guys are criminals, absolute criminals, and they've betrayed the United States of America. And I think a lot of Americans know that. You know, Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, and many of the major influencers, Tucker Carlson even, there's talk about Tucker Carlson even being arrested, you know, for opposing this war. So Americans are waking up to this. They need to put their money where their mouth is and get rid of Trump.
Yeah, and I think even the deep state in America probably knows this as well. I mean, I don't believe that the American deep state wants to destroy NATO.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want to completely alienate all of their longtime allies like the United Kingdom. The UK is like a vassal state of America, but the fact that the UK is basically saying, no, Trump, even I'm not going to go this far with you because it's completely insane what you're doing. I mean, surely the American deep state is going to go, what the heck is this president we've got doing? He's destroying America on the world stage. He's isolating us, making us a pariah. You know, I mean, okay, I'm going to make a prediction here. Maybe Trump's going to get, you know.
Oh, well, I mean, look.
They already tried it.
I mean, he's already had several assassination attempts. We're not calling for that, obviously, but
I'm saying,
actions have consequences, right?
You know, like JFK, there's a lot of suspicion about how he got done. Maybe it was the American deep state. That's basically what conspiracy theorists say. I don't know if there is a deep state that kills presidents.
You know what?
They might decide to mobilize again.
Israel has overplayed its hand. And the Zionists have overplayed their hands.
They're laughing
because
now.
they've done this trick several times before. This is the first time, and we always knew what the game was, but this is the first time in living memory that the general publics of the West know what they're up to. Okay, they know that the Zionists have occupied these countries, Western countries, because they are there working as agents for the state of Israel. Okay. Now, any country in the world wants to have its own sovereignty, you know, wants to be in charge of its own decision making. And they don't like it when people are working for the interests of a foreign state.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's what the Zionists are doing. And not only are they trying to influence public opinion, but now it's got to the stage where they have a stranglehold over policymakers, and they're literally using American soldiers and American military hardware, American blood and treasure to serve their interests. That is completely unacceptable. The whole country, America and Britain, needs to be de-Zionized from these foreign agents.
Yeah, because you have to remember, if the mood changes in America and they decide, you know what, we're done with Israel, like everything they did is unforgivable.
These guys are in big trouble.
They're in big trouble. Yeah, they won't survive. I mean, it'll be like Salah ad-Din entering Jerusalem again. It'll be the Muslim world will unite finally, and then they'll just take over. Israel won't last a day without American support. The Muslim world will just come in. It will be an avalanche. The Palestinians will take their homes back.
I think they're going to lose the West. I think
I'm waiting for that day, inshallah.
Israel they've overplayed their hands here because they've always needed the West to do their fighting for them and supply them with financial support, military support.
Yeah, they need
everything. But now they're at the stage where they're going to lose public opinion in the West, and they're going to lose and they're going to be all on their own.
Yeah, I think so. And who knows? One of these America First anti-Israel types might become president one day, you know? They managed to get an Israel First president in who's a lunatic. Maybe they're going to get the opposite end of the spectrum. You know, the pendulum swings, and Israel's going to be in big trouble. Well, we're going to keep an eye on this.
We need to make Nick Fuentes president, don't we? Candace Owens vice president.
I don't know.
Tucker Carlson.
They're talking about it. Department
for War.
Tucker Carlson said, I think to Piers Morgan the other day, that he would it was a bit of a joke, but kind of half serious. He said, I'd consider running just to go up in a debate against some of these Israel First.
We should crowdfund someone like Tucker Carlson. We should crowdfund him so that he doesn't have any Zionist money. So the Zionists haven't got him by the balls.
Yeah.
You know, none of the other lobbies have. He should literally crowdfund the money. He has a huge platform. Make a run for president, crowdfund it. But then is he going to turn Zionist? You never know. You know, I don't trust these people.
You never know. Yeah. Maybe Nick Fuentes would be the better one because he seems a little bit.
He'll deport all the Muslims as well, but it might be worth it. Just to...
The American Muslims can come here, so they can deport here or go to the Muslim world. You know, we'll take them in.
Birmingham has room for them.
Yeah, there's plenty of room in Birmingham to colonise. Well, talking about colonising Britain, the far right are adamant that that's happening.
Oh, God.
And Muslims can't seem to do anything right. And it's culminated recently in a public iftar event at Trafalgar Square in London, which was organised and hosted by the London Mayor, Sadiq Khan. Now, this has caused an absolute outrage online. Muslims praying in the streets. I mean, who would have thought Muslims praying? You know, it's not something new. But far-right agitators and even politicians are getting involved, the media, and they are adamant that this is a show of force and it's Islamic domination, and the entire Muslim community are involved in a takeover plot and public acts of worship. You know, it's all right if Hindus do it, it's all right if Jews do it, it's all right if Christians do it, but if Muslims do it, it's a takeover attempt. And there was a politician a conservative shadow minister, Nick Timothy, he tweeted basically saying that he doesn't want to be polite anymore. He's going to call it out. He says that this mass ritual prayer in public spaces is an act of domination. The adhan, which declares there is no God but Allah, Muhammad is his messenger, is called in public as a declaration of dominance. He's been criticized for it. What do you make of it, Roshan?
Well, Nick Timothy is one of the most Islamophobic MPs.
I mean, should we be frank? Should we just tell them we are taking over? I mean, that seems to be what they believe.
Even if we wanted to, we're 6.5%. You know, I mean, look, if we were taking over, I wouldn't tell you about it. But
maybe we could take over Birmingham. They might give us that. You know, like a little
maybe a village in Shropshire.
City state.
Yeah. But look, Nick Timothy is one of the most Islamophobic MPs in Parliament. He's always obsessed with Muslims and, you know, made several incendiary speeches. Just a nasty piece of work. And he was an advisor to Theresa May back in the day.
Oh, really?
One of our most successful and wonderful prime ministers, Theresa May. So he must have been a great advisor. And I think he's going to join Reform. I keep on trolling him because you know how all these Tories are joining Reform, but they don't say it.
Yeah,
when are you going to join Reform, Nick? When are you going to join? He never replies to me. But look, this tweet, I expect this from him. Because he's a horrible person, a horrible human being. But he is talking complete BS here. You know, ultimately, there was this open iftar in Parliament. I thought it was organised by the Mayor of London, but I think it was probably organised by the Ramadan Tent Foundation or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But Sadiq Khan was there. He obviously gave permission for it to happen in Trafalgar Square. He attended it. So it's a public Ramadan celebration. Happens every year. Just a few months ago, there was a public Hanukkah celebration in Trafalgar Square with thousands of people. Nick Timothy, Richard Tice weren't tweeting about that, calling it domination, were there? Hindus do the same thing. Buddhists do the same thing. Christians do the same thing. And it's never an issue. It's only an issue when Muslims do it. And that is because people are Islamophobic. And they're liars. And they're exaggerators. And they're shit stirrers, quite frankly. Sorry for my language, but that's what they are. And they hate Muslims. They want to create animosity and make our lives hard in this country. London is a secular capital, okay, where there are over 1 million Muslims and there are 9 million people of other denominations, and they all generally rub together fairly well, okay? Sometimes, you know, that doesn't mean we're all hunky-dory with each other, but we're not fighting each other. But people like Nick Timothy, I think, would like us to fight each other, you know? Absolutely disgusting tweets. Disgusting human being.
Yeah, he's been called. There are calls being made for him to be sacked. We'll have to wait and see how the Tories react to that.
They won't sack him. They'll probably give him a promotion.
Well, that's the thing. If they do sack him, he'll jump ship to Reform, no doubt. That'll be the excuse he needs to jump ship without being called a complete and utter traitor, which we know he probably will be. But yeah, let's just talk about public acts of Islam, public displays of Islam. Frankly speaking, there are some members of our community who might feel like now's the time to, you know, to hunker down, maybe quieten down a bit, you know, not rock the boat too much, maybe appease our critics a little bit. But no, I say we need more of this, more Islam. We need more public displays of Islam. I want to see massive calls to prayer in the streets, in all the major cities. I want to see Muslims making dawah efforts in all the towns and shires of this country. And I want to see more mosques. I want to see more calls to prayer being blasted on loudspeakers. And I'll tell you why, Roshan. It's not because I want to intimidate anyone. It's not because I want to take over. It's not an act of domination. This is because we are being attacked by bullies, okay? We're being targeted by bullies. And what is the worst thing you can do when a bully confronts you? It's giving in, it's backing down, it's doing what they want, because then they'll only ask for more. I mean, for goodness sake, they're having a go at people for praying in a public space quietly on the side there. They're not dominating the street. There's plenty of room for spectators in a public space like that. They don't want mosques to be built. They don't want Muslims to engage in private Sharia courts, which is totally voluntary.
They're even stopping us from marrying our cousins.
Yeah, they don't want us to...
Pete's sake.
They don't want us to marry our cousins. Iqbal Muhammad is really upset about that. But yeah, they don't want us to do anything. I mean, what's going to be next? They're going to like have an issue with Muslim. I mean, once they ban everything,
clothes.
What will be left?
I won't be allowed to wear this.
I mean, they'll start policing Muslims having a shit. To be honest, with you. I mean, what's going to be left? What is going to be left? Sarah Potchins will show up in a freaking lavatory somewhere and be like, "What are Muslims doing in those bays?" Do you know what I mean? Like, what's going on in there? I smell something. Look, Muslims, they're taking over our public toilet spaces. But yeah, they want Muslims to have no freedom, no fun, no life.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to practice, believe, or do anything Islamic in any way, shape, or form. And we have to confront this, frankly speaking.
I do agree.
We have to confront it head on.
I agree with, I would say 90% of what you just said. I think ultimately the policy of the Muslim community has been to keep its head down. You know, that's been the majority tactic. And to kind of try to integrate as much as possible, not rock the boat too much, prove that we are better citizens than anyone else and they weren't more loyal to the country. That strategy has failed because we have large sections of the population now that don't care how much we integrate or even assimilate. They just hate us and they hate Islam and they want us out. And we need to confront. And I think the days are gone now for this kind of appeasing, kind of softly spoken approach from Muslims. No, we need to be who we are, okay? We need to proudly say we're Muslims and demonstrate we're Muslims, and to hell with the consequences. If that means we get a hard life, it means we get a hard life. And that, frankly, is the model of the Prophet, you know? When he was in Mecca, confronting the Quraysh, the Quraysh who just as bad as these kuffar are today. Did he back down? Did he accept compromise? No. He just kept on being who he was, openly, and explaining to everybody who he was, and not compromising one iota. Yeah. I would say, look, at the same time, I don't think we should go out of our way to antagonize. So for example, we shouldn't be praying in the street and stopping traffic. That's just antagonizing people. Obviously, if there's a mosque, pray in the mosque, and don't deliberately go out in the street and irritate people. However, this wasn't about this. This is Trafalgar Square. This is a public square. This is the most important square in Great Britain. It's a public square. It belongs to everybody. People can ask to have celebrations there. Anybody, whether they're atheists, faith or non-faith, and it's arranged with the police, it's arranged with the local authorities, it's arranged with the Mayor of London. So this is not a public display of domination. It was a pre-planned event which was given permission. They're not bothering anybody, and if you hate it, you're an Islamophobe, you're probably a racist too.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's the thing. None of what Muslims do most of the time is to upset or cause disturbance or anything like that. We are British citizens, okay? You have a right to be here. This is your country. You have invested in this and you can do whatever the bloody hell you want. This is not illegal. You're not breaking the law. You have nothing to be ashamed about. And yeah, if they don't like it, they can seriously lump it, and you should do it more. Do it literally more and more and more. I'm not saying to block roads. I'm not saying to go, into synagogues and start taking over the place. Do you know what I mean? But what I'm saying is do whatever you want. If you want to organize a massive iftar party in a park in Birmingham, go for it. Make it bigger and better than the year before. If you want to organize adhans on loudspeakers and stuff like that, if you're following the rules and you've got permission from the local authority, do it, and do it proudly. We cannot allow these far-right thugs and nasty types who are a hindrance on this country, quite frankly. They are the gutter dwellers. They are the
knuckle dragging scumbags.
They're the algae sucking losers who actually bring this country down. Muslims bring this country up, quite frankly, and we need to be proud of who we are and not be intimidated by.
You know, one thing I do.
That's why I'm advocating.
One thing I do think where Muslims, where we let ourselves down, is parking outside mosques, and you know, it's not acceptable. I mean, every single mosque I go to, you know, you get Muslims just parking the cars anywhere, double parking, irritating the neighbors, irritating the residents, and no matter how much the mosque makes pleas to people not to do that, people are just selfish and they keep on doing it. It's disgusting, and you know, that's one way to make people hate Islam. You know, let's have a positive view of Islam. Let's show who we are, but we don't need to go out of our way to antagonize people or be selfish in our dawah, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we got to do it right. You know, I'm advocating for it to be done right, but to be done more the right way. You know, we've got to confront the bullies, but do it right, like you say. Yeah, there's more. I think there's a school.
What else have we got?
We've got a school in Bradford, I think it was. Yeah, so a Bradford school.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
Announced that it will close for Eid celebrations on Thursday and Friday, and again, they're outraged by it on GB News, on Talk TV, and all these right-wing circles. They're outraged. They're slamming the school.
2 days for Eid, basically.
Slamming the teacher. Yeah, they're saying this is like so unfair. We're turning it into a Muslim country. It's not. It's a Christian country. I don't even know really what the issue was. They're just angry about it.
It's just anything to bash Muslims. Look, what an enlightened head teacher. I mean, can we just all find out the name of that school and write into the head teacher and just say what a great bloke you are?
You talk about it.
Yeah, all I would say is that, look, I think this school is in Bradford. I think the Muslim population of the school is probably over 80%. So, you know, you just kind of, you customer is king, right? You know, I mean, if it was a school with, you know, 1 or 2 Muslims, then you could understand them not having a couple of days for Eid. But this is, you know, maybe they can make the time up in other ways. If they're missing school, maybe they can have, you know, 10-minute longer days at other points. But they're basically going out of their way to serve their community, to, you know, basically be kind to their pupils and their pupils' parents. Isn't that wonderful? Being kind. You know, it's something that's gone out of our society now. You know, taking into account the views of the parents at your school, the children, their needs. That's a wonderful thing and a commendable thing, but only the far right can pick this up as something negative. And I've always thought we should have 2 days for Eid, because let's face it, you know, there's a couple of issues here. One is that Eid actually traditionally lasts over 3 days, right? And that is our holiday. I mean, if we have to have less holidays for Christmas, then fine, as long as we can celebrate our Eid. And a lot of us, even if we're not, like obviously Sunnis and Shias are notorious for celebrating Eid on different days. But even within Sunni Islam, which is the majority, we're celebrating on different days because we think Saudi, half of us think that Saudi are making up this moon sighting. Half of us follow Iran, half of us will follow Pakistan, Morocco, Saudi, whatever. So even Sunnis are doing it on different days. So and children will have parents and relatives that are literally celebrating Eid on different days, and we want to celebrate it together. So I think 2 days for Eid is actually a very reasonable ask. And well done to this school. But are you going to tell me something bad about this school they did last year?
No, it was a different school, so I got it wrong.
Oh,
But
alhamdulillah. I didn't want to say anything bad.
No, it's another Bradford school. So that's good. So the Bradford area, yeah, it's good. There's a good progress being made. And yeah, I think just people need to let...
What is the name of this
people
school?
live.
Let me put my glasses on so
It's,
I can see a little better.
Miriam Lord Primary School.
So brothers and sisters, write into Miriam Lord Primary School and to its head teacher, Mr. Harrison, and commend him. You know, he's probably getting a lot of hate mail through the posts and on email at the moment from GB News types, Talk TV types, write in and commend this guy. I'm going to do it myself personally. Thank him for the courtesy that he has shown. He's a non-Muslim, I'm guessing, right? But he has shown courtesy to his pupils at his school, the children at his school and their parents. What a wonderful thing to do, Mr. Harrison. Well done. And may Allah guide you to Islam, Mr. Harrison.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I think I'll message him as well. I'll send an email in or something. That's a good idea. Because, you know, I have kids as well. And one of the things that you worry about in this country when you have Muslim kids is, you know, are they going to be discriminated against? You know, I mean, my wife was heavily discriminated against when she was growing up in school, you know, because she was, the, you know, the foreigner, the Muslim
Brown,
kid, the brown kid. And, you know, to see a teacher actually making a real effort to be inclusive and whatnot and to fight growing racism and Islamophobia is a great thing.
Most schools aren't like this as well, by the way. My experience of schools in the London area, for example, obviously I have 3 children that have been put through schools, still going through schools, is that they just dig their heels in. You know, they're not interested. I mean, one of my children went to a school, and guess what day of sports day was on? Eid. Literally. And we said to them, no, my kid wants to do sport. He loves sports, right? So, you know, he wants to... He wants to kind of partake in sports day. It's the funnest day of the year, right? Don't move. You know what day Eid is for like a year, right? It's on the calendar. You got to move this. You wouldn't put, and I said to her, you wouldn't put on a Jewish holiday, would you? And they obviously just batted away the question, saying, no, it's all arranged now. We can't move the day. I'm sorry about this. I tell you what, 100% they wouldn't have put it on a Jewish holiday, right? But Muslims were expendable, and Muslims don't complain enough at schools. All the other Muslim parents at the school, they're like, no, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to get in trouble. And like, you know, we're the bad guys because we're the outspoken Muslims. Muslim parents, you are citizens, just like Jewish citizens, Jewish people, Hindu people, atheist people are citizens of this country. You have the right to speak up, and you should be speaking up.
Yeah, it's a very English thing to do as well. If you're not happy about it, just speak up. So, you know, just go for it, you know. Let's go for it. Well, there is a shocking example of what appears to be a horrific Islamophobic targeted attack on a hijabi woman. Viewer discretion is advised here. It is a very disturbing clip. Basically, a Muslim woman visibly wearing hijab was hit in a hit-and-run incident, and luckily she survived. But, I mean, the footage has gone viral.
Yeah.
It's traumatizing to see. Terrible, terrible incident. And, yeah, it's been hardly reported. It's been hardly reported at all.
I would ask you to blur that when we do the edit of the show. Because there is a blurred version that we put on Facebook, so you can use that. Yeah, look, what is shocking about this, we don't exactly know what happened. Obviously, we suspect it's a Islamophobic attack. There could be another reason, but it looks like a targeted attack. But the fact is that, and I have to say it again, people will say I'm beating this drum, but if it was any other community, this would be on ITV News. This would be on BBC News. This would be the only media I've seen this on so far, I think, is 5 Pillars and Doam. And obviously the Muslim community are talking about this. No one else is. Our lives are worth nothing in this country. They're so, so cheap. Alhamdulillah, the sister, I can't believe it. When I saw that, I thought she must be dead. Somehow she survived, and somehow the injuries are not even life-threatening. This is a miracle. This is a ni'mah from Allah.
Yeah, no, it really is. And yeah, just to remind, I mean, again, like Roshan just said, we don't quite know the reason behind the incident. The guy could have just been like drunk driving and just like nearly killed someone. You know, it could be like that. But it is a timely reminder, scary reminder that there are threats out there and that there are attacks happening. You know, mosques are being targeted, Muslims themselves are being targeted. So be careful, really, really be careful. And I think Ramadan, Eid, those are times where, you know, the worst of the worst like to perhaps target our community. So really, really watch yourselves and just remain vigilant and be careful. Very traumatizing incident there. We also have a protest to discuss. It's the Quds Day demonstration. Let me just bring up the stuff now. But basically, more far-right outrage. I mean, it's just every day.
I mean, you do the talking on this. So obviously, I'll just introduce it because you can do the talking. So last week, our wonderful Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, under pressure from the Met Police, which is in it in itself in the pocket of the Zionists in this country, decided to ban the Al-Quds Day procession, which is a march, a pro-Palestine march, happens every year, organized by the Islamic Human Rights Commission. Mainly Shias attend it, probably about a few thousand people every year. The far right and the Zionists attack it every year. They try to get it banned. And Shabana Mahmoud decided, because of the current situation in the Middle East and the unique tensions, they're going to ban the march. But they held a static march instead. You went to it. What happened, Robert?
Yeah, it was mostly as you'd expect, a few thousand people, lots of Muslims there. They were obviously expressing support for Iran and Lebanon as well as Palestine because of what's going on in the Middle East. But it was well organized. Most people there were like families with kids, and their wives were there, and there was some student activists and stuff like that. So it was a great crowd, and there was a mix of people from different beliefs there. There
were Sunnis there this year.
There was some Sunnis there. There was a couple of Jewish speakers.
Can I say, Robert?
There was a Christian speaker, and this is something described as a hate march. Like if you go there, you'll be attacked, and that was totally the opposite of what I saw on the day.
I used to go to the Al-Quds March a lot, maybe 10 years ago or something like that. And there was always quite it was mainly Shias and pro-Iran types, but there were plenty of Sunnis there as well. But with the Syria war, the Sunnis stopped going, I think I'm just speaking factually here. The Sunnis basically stopped going with Syria and Iraq, especially Syria. But were there more Sunnis this year because of the unique circumstances around the Iran war?
I think there were some. I mean, someone was waving the flag of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan there, which was nice to see. But it was a mixed crowd. Certainly majority Shia. But this is a day that was founded in Iran, so it obviously has links to the Islamic Republic, and it's celebrated largely across the Shia Muslim world. Shias in Lebanon, Shias in Pakistan, Shias in Iraq. They're the ones who really push this day. You won't find it in Saudi Arabia, for example, or Egypt or Algeria necessarily, as far as I know. So obviously it is what it is. But the day was attacked and targeted by the same forces that hate Islam every other day of the week, calling it like a hate march, terrorist sympathizers, extremists. And these are just people expressing a view. And all the people that claim, we're not allowed to criticize Islam, we're not allowed to criticize Muslims, our freedom of speech is under attack, they were there in force, harassing people, targeting the organizers, making up all sorts of wild claims like, they're trying to stop us from doing our journalism. And it went viral, and they really, really made a big deal out of it.
The GB News types,
you can see a clip here. So GB News are making a right scene about it. Maybe I'll play out and see if we can hear a piece of it.
They just stopped this GB News agitator from...
Why did you stop a lady from talking to us? We're allowed to interview whoever we like. That's the Islamic Human Rights Commission there saying we're not allowed to interview people if we don't have a pass. Well, we are the free press. We are allowed to interview anybody we like if they want to speak to us. Do the Islamic Human Rights Commission not like free speech? Do you not like free speech? Why did you...
I would have loved to be there to have a pop at this guy.
I know. Basically, the woman there is an Iranian. She actually tweeted after this, went out there and said that she did end up doing an interview with GB News, by the way. The organizers were informing her who they were. So they were actually trying to protect her from basically an Islamophobic channel. So they issued her like a warning, just be careful who you speak to because these guys are out to get you, as we know GB News are. And she ended up doing the interview anyway. So she called GB News out as a bunch of liars on Twitter, basically saying, I did do an interview with you guys, so no one stopped me in the end.
So all they were doing was informing the lady about who she was speaking to.
Absolutely. So the organizers know very well that they get targeted by Islamophobes, by far-right types, by pro-Israel activists, Iranian dissidents who are nasty, vile scumbags, as we know, abusive, potentially could attack someone. So their job on the day was to usher people along, keep them in the right place, but also to make sure that they were aware of the threats that exist around them, including media people who are there to get people to say something which can
instigate.
get them in trouble. You know, freedom of speech is not allowed in this country. You can go to prison for waving a placard with like some fruit on it or like a coconut on it. I mean, you know, by saying the word coconut, maybe I'm in legal peril now. That's the country we live in.
Well, you can't say death to the IDF, can you? Because Bob
you
Dylan
can. I mean, Bob Dylan has said it multiple times. They initially investigated it and then they moved on. So you can say that, but they keep going after him. So basically, they were out there trying to protect people from these kind of, you know,
Can I just say something about Bob Dylan?
These mercenaries in the media.
So Bob Dylan, brother Pascal, I think is his real name. I met him actually recently. Lovely man. I think he's going to appear on the Blood Brothers podcast soon, inshallah. So he gave a speech basically. At the end of it, he did the death to the IDF chant, and everyone joined in.
It's famous now.
Now, yeah, it's very
lyric.
famous. He's been investigated twice for this by two different police forces. They've found that there's no case to answer twice. The Met Police decide to investigate him again. This is a complete waste of police time and resources and taxpayers' money, quite frankly. The Met Police are a disgrace. The commissioner of the Met Police, Mark Rowley, is an absolute disgrace. And I say here that I believe that he has lost the confidence of the Muslim community, of London's Muslims, and he is in the pocket of the Zionists. 100%. There's no other way I can explain his behavior. Constantly trying to restrict our right of free speech and protest. I mean, at the behest of the Zionist lobby.
They're basically harassing this guy now, you know, because, I mean, it's got to be stressful being constantly investigated by the police for things you have said. You know, I mean, it's got to be stressful. And I mean, the good thing is he's obviously, he's a tough guy. You know, I think obviously it's getting his name out there. So
he'll be all right.
He'll be all right.
Yeah.
The community's going to rally around him. But they're basically harassing him at this point. Yeah. They're literally harassing him. You know, I mean, he has a right to say what he has to say, and he clearly hasn't broken any laws. That's why they've dropped it so many times in the past.
Let's just remember,
leave people alone.
The IDF is a terrorist organization. Yeah. They're literally going around.
He's not saying it for no reason.
Completely illegally killing the head of state of a sovereign nation and the leaders of that sovereign nation, on top of a genocide, on top of a long history of war crimes in the West Bank, in Jerusalem, in Lebanon, everywhere around the region. This is a disgusting terrorist organization which needs to be held accountable. So saying death to the IDF, quite frankly, who could object to that apart from Zionists and their puppets?
And it's crazy because it's like a foreign army. You know, I mean, like, what? Am I not allowed to criticize? I mean, I'm damn sure allowed to criticize Russia's army. I can criticize probably Iran's army, any army. But what? Israel's army were protected status or something like that. I mean, how pathetic is this country? You know, it's like, as British citizens, the police protect our freedoms, you know, our rights. But yeah, I mean, and plus, I mean, like, the IDF is actually killing people. But if one of their soldiers comes back, a British citizen, are they going to get stopped by the Metropolitan Police? Are they going to get
wave through?
Are they going to get investigated
probably
for possible crimes against humanity? No.
Mark Riley's probably giving them flowers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he'll be there at the airport to greet them home. Do you know what I mean? Give them a police escort or whatever. So the IDF is actually killing people. Bob Dylan is what he's using. He's an artist. He's using lyrics.
He's using hurty words. He's hurting the words of,
I mean, he's basically
of genociders.
He's basically a modern day poet. Yeah. And they're like trying to like put him in jail for life.
He's hurting their feelings.
Do you know what I mean? For lyrics.
I mean, all they've done is, you know, kill women and children, and he's hurting their feelings now. It's just out of order, Bob Dylan.
It is crazy. The people who are responsible for genocide and mass murder on an industrial scale are the ones telling, like Bob Dylan and us on the streets who are pro-Palestine, that we're the hate marchers, we're the hateful people. When all we want is for the genocide to end. We want Palestinians to be free. We want them to be considered human beings. We want children to stop getting massacred. Yeah, apparently we're the bad guys. We're the hateful people. We're hate marchers. Do you know what I mean? But what, Israel, Netanyahu, they're allies and friends of Britain. It's a joke. It's
what else we got,
joke.
Anything else?
Let's see. Pakistan and Afghanistan
Oh, yeah,
have
we have to
been
mention
basically
this.
waging complete war on each other. I can't believe it. I must admit, I haven't been as in tune with this because I've been more sort of absorbed by the Iran stuff. But I mean, my goodness, 400 people killed by Pakistan in an airstrike on an Afghan drug rehabilitation center. I mean, that's a war crime.
So,
It's a crime against humanity. I mean, tell me more, Roshan. This is outrageous.
So, I mean, obviously, our attention has been on the Iran war rather than the Pakistan-Afghanistan war. But it's been ongoing. I mean, right from the start, we said this has to stop. Muslims can't be killing Muslims. But it's been ongoing and shows no sign of abating. And you got this attack on this drug rehabilitation center, which Dilly actually went to a couple of years ago when he visited Afghanistan. So it has thousands of drug addicts in there basically being rehabilitated, turning their lives around. Now, 400 people dead at least, it looks like. Pakistan are saying it was a military installation. Or, at the very worst, there was a military installation next to it. So they hit that, and there were secondary explosions which caused this drug rehabilitation center to be destroyed as well. Now, I don't believe the Pakistanis. I think they're lying. Some of the trolling that I've got online from Pakistani nationalists is absolutely disgusting. It's Israeli-like as well. Simply for questioning whether this happened. I think an investigation needs to happen. A neutral investigation needs to happen so that we can know what the truth is. But even if there was a military installation, I don't think there was, but even if there was a military installation next to this drug rehabilitation center, the Pakistanis still shouldn't have hit it, because everyone knows that this is a drug rehabilitation center. It's well known, and it has hundreds, if not thousands, of people in it. So they knew there would be civilian casualties. Are we now reverting to Israeli logic, where there's one person in a building, which may be a member of Hamas, so we blow up the whole building? This is disgusting from Pakistan. I don't trust the Pakistani military one iota. I think they're in bed with the Americans. I don't trust Shehbaz Sharif one iota. Of course, if they have a confrontation with India, then I would support the Pakistani army. But I don't support it against the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. One more thing I would like to say, and that is that one tactic that's being used a lot by Pakistani nationalists is to say that the IAEA, Afghanistan, is in bed with the Indians, and that they are in cahoots with the Indians, trying to conspire against Afghanistan, etc. I've looked into this a little bit. Now, I personally don't like anyone having relationships with Modi. I think Hindutva India is a strategic enemy of the Ummah. So I don't like the fact that Afghanistan has any sort of relationship with India. But the fact is, it does. Like most other Muslim countries do. Even Iran, Saudi Arabia, all of them do. It doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't have a strategic relationship with India. They're not conspiring against Afghanistan. They just have a normal relationship. Afghanistan is in a weak position whereby it can't really pick and choose. No one even recognizes it. So it has to do dirty deals, I guess, with China, with Iran, with many other countries around the world, simply because it is in a position of severe weakness after suffering 40 years of war and sanctions. So it has to take some dirty political decisions. But I don't think we should exaggerate their ties with India. It's just a normal relationship. It's not a strategic relationship. So that's what I understand from it. But at the same time, I don't like the fact that they have a relationship with India.
Yeah, I know. Well, you've got some clips here from Dilly's documentary. It is available on the Five Pillars YouTube channel. I do highly recommend that you go back, if you haven't already, and watch the content of Five Pillars in Afghanistan, the Islamic Emirate there. It's really eye-opening, but it will also, again, bring to life just the sheer horror of this attack, a site which was really of benefit, to Afghanistan in a huge way, rehabilitating people who are caught on one of the most vile drugs, that has such a devastating impact on the society there. And I think Afghanistan's record on this and rehabilitating its population is It's
commendable.
It's like the greatest rehabilitation program on the world stage.
People started getting drug production and use spiraled under the US NATO occupation.
Yeah.
So it's a huge problem that the Taliban have been left with, and they're doing their best to rehabilitate drug addicts and stop opium production.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's keep an eye on this story and see how it develops, and hopefully it will calm down. I'll have to chase up this story myself as
Anything
we roll
else?
the 5 pillars. There is the Aqsa mosque being shut down. I'm actually having connectivity problems. So we've got one more story here. We've got the Al-Aqsa mosque closed throughout Ramadan and also for Eid as well. That's what the Israeli regime has announced. This is a story, again, which is pretty important. I mean, Al-Aqsa is constantly targeted by the Israeli regime, and there are growing fears that because of the chaos in the Middle East, that opportunists in Israel might use it as a chance to destroy Al-Aqsa and to pave way for them rebuilding some temple that they want to build. So there's a lot of fear and concern and anxiety about that, and obviously Palestinians are resisting. They have issued a fatwa. So a senior cleric in Jerusalem has issued a fatwa basically urging Muslims to keep going as close to the site as physically possible and holding prayers and congregational gatherings anyway. And there has been scuffles with police and so on, as Palestinians have been dragged off, beaten, arrested, simply for trying to worship at one of the most important sites in Islam. So very sad situation, horrific to see, but we have to remember, we have to be aware of it, especially during Ramadan, because obviously, this is one of the holiest sites for Muslims, and we all have a duty to try and defend it in any way that we can.
So I mean, third holiest site in Islam. I mean, I think one prayer in Makkah is worth 100,000 prayers. One prayer in Medina, I believe, is 1,000 prayers. Please correct me if I'm wrong, brothers and sisters. And I think in Masjid al-Aqsa it's worth either 250 or 500 prayers. So this is the third holiest site in Islam. Look, I think what we don't understand is that the nature of the Israeli regime is changing from a secular regime to a religious regime, a fanatical religious regime. So we have, the well-known settler Jewish fanatics, Smotrich and Ben Gvir, in the cabinet propping up Netanyahu. But traditionally, Israeli society has been a secular society, and it still is to a large extent, but it's changing to becoming more of a fanatical Jewish society who believe in crazy apocalyptic events to herald the coming of the Messiah. And they want to destroy Al-Aqsa Mosque. And I think Al-Aqsa Mosque has never been in so much danger as it is today. And I'm going to say something, and people are going to accuse me of being hyperbolic. Let's see if it comes true. I think before the end of the Trump administration, they are going to make an attempt to destroy Al-Aqsa Mosque so that they can build their third temple and herald in the coming of their Messiah. And the reason why I say this is because of the nature of the Israeli government and society changing from secular to fanatically religious, okay? And we don't believe in any of these dumb prophecies that they have or whatever, but they believe in it and they have power. The second reason is because Israel is slowly eliminating all its enemies, and Iran would be the biggest one, okay? So no one is going to stop them from doing this. And they won't even mind. And I think they've seen the reaction of the Ummah to the Gaza genocide and the reaction of the Ummah to what's happening in Iran and Lebanon and elsewhere and the West Bank. And they're thinking to themselves, okay, it's bad, but it's not that bad. It's not that bad. We've still basically got them inside. They're making a lot of noise, but they're not actually doing too much against us, apart from Iran, And we're going to take those guys out soon anyway. If that is the case, and they have an Israeli agent in the White House, Donald Trump, with his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and the Israeli ambassador, American ambassador, Mike Huckabee, all believing in this, in Christian Zionism, ultimately, or Jewish Zionism, end of times eschatology, they're going to feel invincible, and there's going to be no obstacle to their way, And they even want to provoke a war, because that's part of their eschatology, that there has to be a big war before the Messiah comes. So these guys, they're so crazy, they actually want to provoke it. So that is my prediction, that if the Muslim world doesn't wake up, this is what these guys are going to do. If they manage to defeat Iran, manage to defeat all the Muslim, regimes around them, Turkey, Pakistan, whatever, even before that, if they calculate that the response is going to be a response that they can handle, they will go ahead within the next 3 years and try to destroy Masjid al-Aqsa, blow it up, so that they can build their third temple.
Yes, well, deeply disturbing and worrying times. And yeah, brothers and sisters, tell us what you think in the comment section. Do you think that we're on the verge of seeing an Israeli attempt to destroy our beloved Al-Aqsa compound? We'll have to see how things develop, but unfortunately it's a very bad time and things just seem to be getting worse and worse and worse. So I don't think anyone can accurately predict what the future holds. We just have to keep praying and seeking guidance from Allah, and trusting in Allah as well. Allah is the greatest of all planners and is the most powerful. The only one worthy of fearing is Allah's wrath, and it will come. Allah is not going to ignore injustice. He's not going to let wicked people get away with it. One way or another, they will be punished in the end, and we have to remember that during these dark times. Well, I think we're approaching the end of the show. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about, Roshan, before we finish?
No, just Eid Mubarak to all of you brothers and sisters. May your your fasts and your ibadah, may they be accepted during Ramadan, and may Allah multiply your rewards. Please have a great day with family and friends, and eat loads of food, and get dressed up in your best clothes, and pray Salat al-Eid, and inshallah we'll see you again next week. Probably about 6 pounds heavier after some hefty meals. But yeah, Eid Mubarak, brothers and sisters.
Inshallah. Well, brothers and sisters, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. It helps the channel immensely. And just a reminder, if you are able to support us by any means, big or large, I will leave a link to our donations page in the comments section and the description of this video, inshallah. Well, thank you very much. Take care. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum. Ma salama for now.